From saving the world to saving a squirrel, Superman has always been an iconic hero, and now he might just save the movie industry as we know it himself. Welcome to Good Enough Photography, where today we're trying something a little bit different. I will be talking about various topics over multiple videos, and I will be editing in the background. Spoilers for the new Superman movie. Quick disclaimer, I'm not saying I'm the biggest Superman fan ever or that I know everything about Superman. If I have something wrong, please don't yell at me at the comments, please just tell me. If you disagree with my review, well, that's your opinion, and this is my opinion, so I don't care. Please enjoy the video. So many people are talking about this movie, from TikTok videos, YouTube videos, and even stuff on the news. So what makes this movie so good, and how do I think it's going to change media forever? Well, for starters, it had an amazing cast. David Corenswet does an amazing job as he can show both sides of Superman, as he portrays Clark Kent as a shy, clumsy, and mild-mannered reporter, and making him seem like two completely different people. Contrasting to past Supermen, like Henry Cavill, who focused more on the role of Superman and less on the role of Clark Kent, overshadowing Clark Kent's role as the character. David himself is similar to Clark Kent and Superman in the way he acts. He is a genuinely kind and optimistic person who sometimes is a little naive, just like Superman in the comics, who tends to let his emotions overcome his physical nature. He brought Superman back to his Boy Scout-like roots. He saves everyone and everything, which in the comics has always been Superman's main goal. He brings humanity back to Superman, showing even though he is an alien, he is also the most human. Despite auditioning for Superman in the beginning, Nicholas Hoult did an amazing job in contrasting with Superman completely as he played Lex Luthor. He plays the role of an envy-hungry villain who wants Superman dead out of jealousy, which has always been Lex Luthor's goal in the comics. He's a rich businessman who can get anything he wants with all the money he has, but instead, he focuses everything on Superman and he wants everything that he has. Hoult has played many villains in the past. This experience allows him to play Lex Luthor in a better light, as he has experience with playing villains. He shows extreme rage, happiness, sadness, and defeat. You almost feel bad for this awful villain until you don't, because how fast his emotions tend to switch up. He will risk anyone's life just so he can see the downfall of Superman, because that is all he wants in his life. One of the other reasons that this movie excels is because James Gunn is a fantastic director who in many of his movies, like Guardians of the Galaxy, leans into the fun and often weird side of comic books. Unlike other superhero movies based on comics, he takes characters straight from the comics and gives you a sense of nostalgia to those who have read the comics, or grew up with them. Everything from color, emotions, dialogue, and even the pacing reflects of the original comic books. The bright colors and the added saturation, the outdated lines from Clark like gosh and golly, even the fast-paced, sometimes chaotic pacing of the movie all reflect comic book-like style. Not only is it like the comics, it also is like many of the movies people grew up on, like the iconic 1978 Superman, which introduced our beloved hero to a larger audience. Another thing James Gunn always excels at is his soundtracks. Looking at his past films like Guardians of the Galaxy, they all had amazing soundtracks with music that fit the scenes. Each song is a popular or underrated banger of a song that just makes each scene iconic. These soundtracks were so popular that people started selling records and even making YouTube playlists that garnered millions of views. This seems to be the case with Superman, with the songs like Punk Rocker and 5 Years, which made each scene absolutely iconic. Everyone keeps talking about how amazing each song is and how amazing the movie is in itself, with the music added. Speaking of a different type of music, the orchestral scores were just beautiful in each scene, pulling together each scene in dialogue and adding a beautiful ambiance to the background. Another thing that I think personally added to the comic book vibe of this movie and made it just better overall was the inclusion of lesser-known DC characters like Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. Each character, if you ask someone who is a casual watcher or reader of the DC comics or movies, would not be able to name them. I believe adding these non-mainstream characters also helped with the comic vibe of the movie, because comic books usually included what heroes people wanted to see or heroes that the writers themselves just genuinely loved. So sometimes heroes that were lesser known would be included, but that's not really the case in most movies. Most movies focus on the characters that will have the highest grossing film rate. So say Wonder Woman, Aquaman, even Cyborg sometimes, but mostly Batman. That's why a lot of Superman movies will have Batman in them, because it can help with the movie's revenue and increase revenue itself, which is a very movie standpoint and not very comic book. Now, comic books did tend to have big name superheroes like Superman and Batman in the same comic, but they would still include lesser named superheroes. Another great thing about bringing lesser known characters into the movie is that casual watchers of the movies or casual readers of the comics may not know these people. As they get to find these people and learn about the new characters, they tend to form attachments to them, so they will look at comic books or other medias with the characters. When I was talking to people, no one knew Metamorpho, but after watching the movie, everyone felt for him, and a lot of people loved him because the relationship with his son and how he interacted with Superman, which helps DC sell more comics, but it also helps introduce more people into the DC universe instead of the big three, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Another thing with introducing these new characters like Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific leads into the comics quite well, because in the comics there's a team called the Terrifics, which is led by Mr. Terrific, and the members are Metamorpho, Phantom Girl, and Plastic Man. This allows for in the future of the Superman movies to include these other characters like Plastic Man and Phantom Girl. This allows for more world building in the DC James Gunn universe, and also allows for more sales for DC comics, and also maybe spin-off TV shows or something including these said characters, because people are very excited with Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho, so they would probably love to see a TV show or even a movie featuring them. Now, for the main point you've probably been waiting for, how does this change the media industry as we know it? Well, many movies recently have not been the best. They felt like soulless money grabs, just trying to use characters that people loved and full of nostalgia, using them to just line their pockets full of money. They tend to have lackluster acting and plot and writing. Everything feels a little cheap and fake. Even the CGI and graphics itself is worse than movies like Terminator from the 70s, which is insane based on the just pure technology we have. They feel more like something made by a teenager, like a fanfic, than an actual movie. The current state of Marvel, excluding the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, the Wonder Woman movies, and Star Wars, and other franchises, have been falling into the gutter of greed and selfishness. Movies working more on shock value than actual plot have tainted the current state of movies and even TV shows. But recently there has been a wave of good movies with good directors, good actors, and good plots, like K-pop Demon Hunters, Thunderbolts, and How to Train Your Dragon. And now, hopefully, Superman. These movies haven't gotten as much coverage as they should due to them not being big names, like no one really knows. Superman, though, changes that because these are big name characters with big name events. Another reason why these movies hasn't done as well is because people are scared that greedy corporate people will attempt to change the movies just to make a quick buck or two. In contrast to these recent movies, the Superman movie has seemed to have a lot more coverage, with interviews online and clips of the Superman cast going completely viral just due to people loving the movie but also loving the cast themselves. Now, this movie hasn't made as much money as many movies who have made over $1 billion. This movie has only made $400 million, but it has still sparked conversation and praise throughout the movie community, with a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes popcorn meter, and a 92% on Fandango. The Superman movie has left a mark on critics and viewers alike. Now, before getting to what I think will exactly change the movie industry, and if I even think it will, I do have to say there have been a lot of bad reviews, and you're probably wondering, well, how does it change the movie industry if it does have a lot of looked down upon reviews? Well, let's analyze the hate for these. Many of these reviews seem to be people who aren't very well interested in the original Superman or the comics. They have seen the Man of Steel Zack Snyder movie, and they pictured him like an invincible godlike creature, closer to someone like Homelander, or even Invincible, like Omni-Man. But none of that is Superman. Superman is like a Boy Scout. He was raised by his mom and dad on a farm. Well, not his real mom and dad, but he doesn't care. On a farm where he was taught to care for everybody. He was taught to use his powers to help people, not to hurt people. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. I mean, in a lot of these comics, he is just a very friendly person, and he lets his emotions get hold of him, but he rarely kills people. Many people want a Batman like Superman, who's built on vengeance and pain and wants to strike right in the world. But Superman's never been like that. He's always been someone who just helps people because he thinks it's the right thing to do. He wants to save humanity because he wants to. It's not some urge, it's not revenge, it's not some prophecy. He just wants to. Another thing that a lot of people are mad about is they believe they made him too weak. they believe that they made him into a Boy Scout farm boy who is too soft, he could break bones, and he's a mockery of the original and a disgrace to the Superman franchise. So let's look at that, shall we? James Gunn has made a book list and has posted pictures of comic strips specifically that he helped himself use while writing Superman to create his character. Looking at some of these comic strips, one of the most popular ones is the one where there is a girl standing at the edge of a building about to jump. Superman finds her and tries to convince her life is worth it. That sounds closer to James Gunn than anything Zack Snyder ever wrote. Another comic reads, he could be anyone, but he chooses to be kind. Yet again, sounding more like 2025, and then Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. In the comics, Superman is a kind and gentle guy who saves people because it's good. And for the whole Superman doesn't break bones part, well, there are multiple forums, websites, and Reddit pages that have made lists of people who can break Superman's bones. So, yeah, I don't think it's too inaccurate to the comics, huh? One other criticism is that there's inaccuracies to the comics. While this movie is extremely accurate, there's a few. One, the identity and fate of Ultraman. In the original comics, Ultraman is the name given to an Earth 3 counterpart of Superman himself. He is evil in this variant, and he's not a clone like he is in the movie. Also, another thing that doesn't happen is he's not sucked up by a black hole and dies. Well, we don't know if he's dead, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty dead. Another thing is the inaccuracy of why he was sent to Earth. That was never really a part of the original comics, that he was supposed to be like this evil warlord. But I really don't think that it really affects the movie too much. I mean, yes, it is one of the main points of the movie that, oh my god, Superman was actually sent here for bad. But I don't think it's like, oh no, they ruined the comics in DC and everything's broken. I really don't think it's that big of a deal because Superman's still the same person who wants to help people. And then the biggest inaccuracy people are mad about is the ownership of Krypto. Now, in the comics, it's Superman's dog. Nothing to do with Supergirl or anything. Now, in the movie, it is Supergirl's dog. Do I think that's the biggest inaccuracy ever? No. Are people mad about it? Yes. Do I think it changes everything? I don't think it does. Yes, I get it. It is not the best thing, and people are mad about it, but also, I don't think it ruins the movie. It's still an amazing movie that has hundreds of accuracies with only minimal inaccuracies itself. Another thing that a lot of criticism's talking about is that they made Superman woke. Now, that sounds very funny to me because Superman is an alien from another planet who saves people no matter what race, religion, ethnicity, political standpoint, or anything. He is a non-biased creature who literally saves villains, barely kills people, and he's not like a bad guy. So yes, they made Superman woke, I guess, even though he's always kind of been woke. He's never really been much of a like, oh, we shouldn't help these people because they're different than these people. I don't think they made him woke. I think they just made him Superman. So a lot of people calling it woke, I think, just don't really understand the point of Superman or are a little lost. Since we're done with criticisms, well, how do I think this will change the movie industry, and do I? Well, I think it has a good chance of changing it. Is it 100%? No. Is every movie director gonna see this and think, maybe I should do better in life? Probably not. But how do I think it's gonna change? Well, this movie is a genuinely good movie, with genuinely good actors, genuinely good writing, genuinely good plot, and genuinely good graphics and CGI. So, what do I think? Well, I think that hopefully, I can't ask for everything, that directors will see this and think, maybe I should be a better person. Maybe I should make media because I like making media and not because I like lining my pocket with money. Hopefully this movie shows people that, making a good movie, it takes time and effort, but it's also not as hard as I thought it was. Maybe instead of just casting big number one actors or A-list actors, maybe I do look at the B-list. Maybe I do look at the lesser actors and say, they're actually pretty good. Maybe they embody my character more than this A-list actor. Hey, maybe I should write a good character and a good script instead of a character who is a soulless husk of the original character. Maybe I should actually think about making a good soundtrack instead of taking the most popular song at the time. I just hope, maybe, just maybe, this movie does well enough and people like it enough that directors actually take a look at themselves and think, Maybe I'm not a good person, and maybe I should try better to make movies people genuinely like. And maybe, even maybe, they'll make more money. But who knows? I'm just a high schooler who watched the Superman movie, editing photos, who knows nothing about the world. This was Good Enough Photography. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope one day the movie industry will improve.